Hey gang, John Backrilla here with your Lake St. Clair Fishing Report, brought to you by Sportsmen's Direct. It is Wednesday, September 25th. I have just got back in town after a 3-day road trip, and I am exhausted. So if I look tired, that's because I am tired. But I wanted to get a report out there for you folks for this weekend, because I know we haven't done one really in over 2 weeks. Water temperature at Belle Isle right now is like 70, 71 degrees. But it's been up as high as like 73 over the last couple of weeks. It was like Groundhog Day for like the last 2 or 3 weeks. Flat, calm, sunny, 80 degrees for the most part. Felt great, but made for some pretty challenging fishing conditions out there in some cases, with real clear water, real flat conditions. In some cases, bugs, almost like August kind of weather as far as that goes for a while there. But we did have some beautiful sunrises and sunsets, and friend Jerry Toner got actually got at least a good picture, a great picture actually, of a sunrise, which just kind of speaks to the fact that it's awesome getting up early in the morning and getting out there on the water, and you catch some of these beautiful sunrises out there. And if you're on the other side of the state, you can get some really gorgeous sunsets too. But on our side, it's the sunrises that are really beautiful and spectacular sometimes out there. And it makes it worthwhile getting up in the morning. Now, Ryan Robinson was out with Tom Curtis with Curtis Custom Charters, and they got into some real nice smallies out here just a few days ago. And I know Garrett Samsel's been going out, and he's been posting lots of pictures of smallies again out there as well. And a lot of walleyes starting to show back up again as well. And I know I was talking with Jerry Toner. She was in at the shop this week, actually over the weekend, and we were talking walleyes under the Detroit River, and she's been limbing out regularly, although she's been going over on the Canadian side, and she's been fishing really deep, because again, these super clear water conditions that we've been going through here for the last couple of weeks, they've made that water on the American side gin clear, and that water on the Canadian side, it had just enough color for those fish to be holding up over there in like 42 feet of water. So they were definitely trying to get out of the sun during the daytime, and so she was getting them in that deep water. Spencer, who works at the shop with us, he's been going out, he's been getting walleyes out there at the mouth of the South Channel. And similar situation, he's been fishing down that channel bank, coming out of the South Channel in 25 feet of water. And I've heard it from actually quite a few guys that's been a real pattern out there, just pulling bottom bouncers down there on around 25 feet on that channel break. And crazy thing about that out there is the fish have been biting like at high noon. It's been like an 11 to 1 o'clock bite, which is really bizarre, especially given the clear water conditions. But apparently down around 25 feet, that light penetration isn't nearly as much of a factor as like Jerry was finding in the Detroit River as well, at that 42-foot mark. So definitely been a deeper water bite. Other than that, those fish out in the main lake are going to be up in the weeds and tucked up in there when it's real clear like that. But it looks like we've got a break in the weather coming. So the weather break that we've got coming now is finally going to be a break to this pattern. We're getting out of the 80s. We're getting into the 70s. And some of the forecasts now, when you're looking out at that 10-day forecast, like around a week from today, about a week out, are showing at only highs in the 60s and lows down in the upper 40s. So we'll see if that's actually going to transpire. If it does, that's also going to cool that lake down. And with the shorter days and all of that, that water temperature is going to start to finally drop. But either way, we should drop out of the 70s now, because we're going to have lows in the 50s, highs in the 70s. That mean temperature is going to be, somewhere in the 60s, and that's where that water temperature is going to start heading. The hottest perch bite going out there, guys, is still been down at that south end. But it's not, when I say south end, and a lot of you guys have come in and we've looked over at the map and I've shown you where the dumping grounds are if you haven't been there before, but it's a pretty big area, and we've got guys that have been fishing north of the dumping grounds, okay, and we've had guys fishing south of the dumping grounds, and then we've had guys fishing everywhere in between. So that is a big area. I mean, we're talking at least 2 miles, if not like 3 to 4 miles of an area down there. And some guys would even call that fishing out in front of the Grosse Pointe Yacht Club, okay, because you kind of are. So bottom line is, it's been down there on the south end, but we've also had reports out by the St. Clair Light and we've had reports up by the B marker, which is up north of Harley Ensign. So that perch bite has been starting to pick up. It's been spreading out along the whole lake. That is not uncommon for this time of the year. It always starts down there at the south end, and then I believe a lot of cases these fish actually progress and move up closer to the Metro Park area and up into Anchor Bay. So it just it's a progression that happens during the fall, and it happens every year right up into the wintertime. So these fish are moving. It's going to keep going, and it's not all water temperature dependent. A lot of it's hours of daylight, and it has to do with the weeds. Now, let's talk about the weeds a little bit too, because some of you guys have been saying that you've gone out and you found that there was actually quite a bit of color in the water out there, even given the conditions, and a lot of it was in areas where there were a lot of weeds. And we got to talking about that, and some of that is coming literally from the die-off on the weeds. And you'll notice a lot of times on weeds, if you're out there swimming and stuff and you're going through them and you brush the weeds, there's like an algae, I'm sure it actually is a type of algae that's on the weeds. And as these weeds break off and die, not only do they break down, and also add some color to the water, but I think a lot of that algae is also dying and it's going into the water as well. So it's all adding a little bit of color, and in some cases that can be enough to get the bite, especially on fish like walleyes, to go a little bit better, just because you're getting that extra color in the water, even when we got crazy flat conditions like what we had. Now, with this weather change coming into the system, it looks like tomorrow is going to be probably one of the lightest wind days, maybe a little bit more of a blow on Friday, maybe northeast wind, and that looks like it settles back down a little bit for the weekend. And also, we've got a chance of rain in there, so that's going to mean we're going to have some cloud cover. So again, we're getting away from that flat, calm, sunny Groundhog Day weather that we've had for 3 weeks. And we're going to get into a little bit more fall-like weather pattern with chance of showers maybe sometimes, and some cloud cover, a little bit of water movement, a little bit of color in the water. So you get the drift, right? So the fishing should pick up even more from where it was. Falling temperatures and just overall better fishing conditions going into this weekend and into next week. Try to think if there's anything else I wanted to say. You remember I talked last week about there being crayfish in a lot of these perches bellies. That's really common this time of the year for the perch and for the smallies. So those hard bottom areas are areas with rocks, like over there by the dumping ground in the south end, because it's a lot of rock down there. That explains why you got so much fish activity down in those areas as well. So I think that's about it for this week. I wanted to keep it short. I am really tired after being on the road for like 9 hours today, but wanted to get this report for you guys. So hopefully you can get out and take advantage of it this weekend on Lake St. Clair. Hey gang, if you like our content, hit the little subscribe button and the bell icon, and you'll be notified as soon as we put out new stuff.